Today is Friday, June 4th. Welcome to episode 18 of Fish Wrap TV. I'm your host, Janie Hansen, filming live here in Blue Earth, Minnesota, as usual, with Q Lair for your weekly market update. Up top today is the wheat market, followed by corn, ethanol, hogs, and then wrapping up with today's jobs report and the latest on the housing market. Okay, starting with wheat. Q?
Well, this has been the first time, the first episode that we've let off with wheat. And it's probably going to be dominant here for the next month or two. So it's started with beans, and we had corn for quite a while, and now wheat has stepped to the front. And Sybil, as we call her, is going to dominate the summer. It looks like yet again. We had a intensification of the drought in North Dakota, right in the heart of the top corn belt. I mean, for the spring wheat belt, sorry, up there, and in Saskatchewan and Alberta. So a lot of this spring wheat crop is under enormous stress right now, and we've got even though it's relatively early in the ground, spring wheat usually harvest about August, mid-August. So we're a little bit early if you think about it in terms of corn crop. So it's under stress right now. Spring wheat is not like winter wheat. Mm-hmm. So winter wheat likes hot weather and very dry.
Okay.
Spring wheat needs moisture and more of this, what corn and beans need.
A little more air conditioning.
Exactly.
So, but wasn't spring wheat under Chicago wheat earlier this year?
Yes, and absolutely. This is the story. It is. They are absolutely taking these people to the woodshed. Minneapolis spring wheat was trading under Chicago. It just hit $1.25 today, over.
Wow.
So, and it was 40 over 4 sessions ago. So it's put 80 cents on in 4 sessions. So I mean, it's been 20 cents every
Rocking and rolling.
Boom, boom, boom. So they are really getting after these people. It's got everybody scared, SHIT-less, because after what happened in 2008 with spring wheat, when it just took off to the moon. And what we've got to look for is, we're looking very, very intently at how 1998 folded out. All the young traders are talking about 2012, and it's just like, dudes, you got no idea. 2012 drought ended August 21st. This drought ended July 1st. So 88 was just like what we got going on here. It depends on the intensity and depends on the carry out. The crop that year went from about 400 million expectation to 180 in spring wheat, 1988. Oh, wow. So we're looking at about a 50% drop in production at worst. So it's one of those things where 2008 is like the nightmare scenario for everybody, where spring wheat just exploded, and you just couldn't find it anywhere. So what we're going to watch for coming up here, and this is a tip for all you young traders, is that if we start seeing a protein run, we will start seeing Kansas City lift off, because we have got an epic crop in Kansas City right now, and they're sitting there saying, well, Kansas City's made. It's not going to be worth anything. But if we have a protein run, and we've got dry weather right now, this protein is going to come out high in Kansas City, which could balance this off. So it's extremely technical. This is where wheat trading gets so difficult, because, beans have, meal and oil, which is difficult enough. But when you're playing protein, from the northern tier plains to the central tier, it gets extremely difficult. And all of a sudden you see trains moving up $1 in the basis, just like that.
So is that to blend to get the right protein level for the product?
So if you need 14% protein, if you can put 14% hard wheat in it, you're going to do it. So especially if it's just a protein mix. So it's really going to be interesting. And we finally cleared out the decks in wheat. And this is going to be an interesting year. So we're going to be talking about wheat first every day, every Friday for the next month at least, until at least some serious rain hits up there.
So you'll be back in your element.
I'm back in my element. This is my hometown.
Yeah. So speaking of the dry weather, is that affecting the corn market?
It is. The corn market has bounced back strong. However, corn was in a bit early. We had a bit of a chilly spring, if you remember. And what that means is that the growing degree days need to be ramped up. So this is exactly what it needs. Now, it's also going to force the corn to put down roots. So it's going to be seeking out water. So that means it's going to be, strongly, more strongly into the soil. Without getting too much into the agronomy, I'll leave that to you guys out there. But what we know is that we're catching up on these growing degree days. We will be concerned if another 7 to 10 days, we still got this heat.
Yeah, we need a drink of water.
We need a drink of water. But still, the heat is a problematic thing in the 90s. So, corn is really getting interesting. Ethanol continues to run because crude oil has now broken up to 69.5 to 70. And this is where they're beginning to think this may turn all the markets over.
Oh, really?
Yes. The market cannot handle 70 to 75 degree crude oil at this stage. And, with the lumber and the housing and everything else going on, if we have $70, $75 crude oil, it's going to make everybody in Saudi Arabia happy. But, $4 gasoline is they're just going to have a riot in the United States here. So, especially since it was $1.80 not even 10 months ago, a gallon. So, but of course, ethanol is going with that. And of course, on the biodiesel side, our friend soybean oil just keeps going after it.
Yeah.
And, it's again, the tale of two charts, bean oil and then bean meal. You think they would go together, but they're starting to look very, very different now. And, caught in the middle is the soybean itself. And, it's running up a bit because in sympathy with spring wheat, because, there is nothing in the world, if you're a trader, than a protein market. Okay, I can tell you that for a fact. Because like in 88 and 2008, when we had a protein run, you cannot replace it. Okay. The 44, 48% protein in beans and the 14 to 16% protein in spring wheat are just irreplaceable if we lose a bunch of it. So, corn is like what, 6-7% protein, if even that. So, it's really, where do you get protein if these sources dry up?
Yeah. So the pull in the wheat market will start.
Gravity, yes. Yeah. And we've had big bean markets that have drawn up spring wheat because it's just there's just this gravity with protein that we're going to figure that out with math at Crop Optimize. I guarantee you, we'll figure that out. But
it's a good thing you're good at arithmetic.
Well, yeah, it's going to be arithmetic and lots of it. So, and linear algebra, but we'll figure it out. Details. But it's stuff we feel as traders, but yet what it's done is it's continued to draw these markets higher into what I call real dangerous territory. The stock market. I mean, you got to be. I'm sorry. You just got to be nuts to be buying stocks 34,000. But yet it looks like it's going even higher.
Yeah.
But yet, well, there we go. Somebody just graduated high school.
Yep. Big weekend coming up.
Yeah. So
the parade is starting.
Yeah. Good luck with them. But anyway, with the crude oil and everything else pulling up, because everybody doesn't realize that the real dynamic problem is a rising crude oil market in an economy, because it fuels everything, from your car to nail polish. And, when it goes up like this, from 30, 40 a barrel to 70, it's essentially a 100% move in less than a year. And it just ripples through the economy in a very bad way. And of course, speaking of that, the housing market, or the housing deal, we're starting to see housing roll over a bit. Struggling, and you say, but houses are going up. Absolutely, houses are going up. Case-Shiller, 13% rise year over year for housing in America. Anybody who says there's a 3.1% CPI is out of their minds. Everybody knows it's more like 10.
Yeah. So, and what's that? Is that correlated with the jobs report that came out today?
Yes. Yeah, we're starting to see bifurcation in the jobs market, and what I mean by that is, there are people who are just still sitting out there taking government stuff, and you see what help wanted signs all over the place. And you got actually restaurants in certain parts of the country that are only going to be open like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours because they can't put a double shift on.
Yeah, they don't have enough staffing.
Exactly.
To manage.
So a lot of states, what they're doing is they're saying, okay, we're not taking this supplemental unemployment from the government, $300 a week, whatever, for everybody, and they're forcing people back into the job market. So we did have a 600,000 number. This week, but they were looking for 750. Okay,
so it was about 150 miss.
Another 150 miss. Of course, nothing like last month's, which was the epic one. But the job market is starting to show signs of weakness. Believe it or not, there are open jobs, but it's like who is going to fill them and who's going to get in this job market. So that's why I'm saying I've never seen anything like this. I mean, I've been around for a lot of years.
And then people, vaccinations and stuff, the economy's starting to open up some more, people either going back to work or saying, actually, I don't want to do that commute and go back to the office.
There are people, ready for this? There are people who are quitting their jobs rather than go back to the office because they think they can get another job and do it from home.
Yeah, to work remotely.
Exactly. And this is what you and I have been talking about with the 21st century is that there is something afoot here. And, people think that, coronavirus was a bad thing. And of course it was, but yet what it did is it showed that we actually had the technology. Yeah,
it accelerated some of those trends to be able to utilize the internet and the technology to work remotely. So it's changing those workforce dynamics.
Between, Zoom, Teams, and Jira. You've had the tools for the last 2 years to actually do this, and now we were forced to find them.
Yeah, push you off the deep end into the swimming pool.
That's right.
Jump in.
Or that that 10-meter board just push you off.
Yeah.
Once you hit the water, wow, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and other things in the economy, lumber prices have finally broken off a little bit.
They've broken off a bit. Actually, today, shocker, lumber was down limit. So, what it means is that people are just saying, the F word to them. We're not buying these.
Yeah, I'm done building. Wait for it.
Yeah, and that's another thing with the housing market is you're seeing new construction has fallen off, obviously, and so forth. So. These prices are going to work their way into this economy. And, economics 101, high prices will cure high prices, guaranteed. But it's going to be painful here in this mid-session, trying to get this figured out.
Yeah. So aside from lumber, are the other, like copper and other things like that staying pretty steady?
Copper keeps going. They think that there is a play in EV with those. And what I mean by EV is electronic vehicles. And, everybody is trying to make a play with this thing. They're even trying to open up some old mines of rare earths that we need for this stuff, cobalt and metals that we need in our little iPhones. I mean, and the thing is, you only need like 1/10 of an ounce in one of these, but you got 100 million of them.
Yes.
So
everybody's got one in their pocket now.
Exactly. So, and of course the lithium for the lithium ion batteries and so forth and so on. So, there's lots of interesting things going on, but at the end of the day, what is going to be in these vehicles that everybody seems to want now? Because even you and I are looking at full electric vehicles as opposed to half hybrids, whatever they call them.
So what should we be looking for in the coming week?
Well, the coming week, next week we've got no reports per se. We've got WASDE coming up week after, which is going to be huge. The next week has got to be weather. I mean, if this thing intensifies in North Dakota, it is going to be game on in wheat. And I mean, when I mean game on, it's just like, I don't know where it's going to go. Okay. And, the frames are, pretty solid this year. But, if this thing burns up, you're going to have to really put a number up there to get this thing, figured out. So with the corn bouncing back a little bit, you've got another opportunity to hedge. And, hogs are still trading over cattle. Yes. Yes. And I mean, that thing just, it's got everybody baffled. But of course you see the numbers that China's buying, but at the end of the day, how long can this stay here? And if you were a hog producer, that's what is really interesting. I mean, we're going to have to get crop optimized hogs to figure this thing out to see if there's any kind of play, because, if you think about it, you could have bought all of your corn with a 3 in front of it.
Yes.
To feed your hogs. And then they went all the way to, all the way up. Now they're trading over cattle, for God's sakes. So now what do you do? So, they only trade 1.5 years in futures, unlike corn, which they trade 4 years. So there's only 1.5 years where they're, you may have opportunities next year. But the question is, can we, figure out something to help farmers do with these super high prices?
Yeah, to figure out those relationships.
Yes.
So for those of you who are Croptimize Pro subscribers, stay tuned for our Croptimize Hedge Report to hear what insights the model delivered this week. If you're not yet a subscriber, you can learn more and sign up at thefarmcfo.com. Thanks for tuning in for this week's market update. We'll see you next week.